Welcome back to another episode of Dakota Guys. My name is Jesse, and I'm the writer, director, and narrator for the Lost Codex episodes. And it's been a few weeks. I apologize for being away for a couple weeks, and this episode, I call this episode Decoded 37.5 because it's not going to be a real episode. I know we do a couple of lore episodes or themed episodes, and then we do a ramble episode. And this is one of those ramble episodes, but there's a bunch of stuff I want to talk about, the future of Decoded and stuff like that. And I'm not canceling Decoded, so don't expect at the very end of this I'm going to say, well, there's no more Decoded. No, it's not the case. But first I want to kind of apologize for the absence, both my absence in Discord, my absence on Twitch, and my absence with Decoded the last few weeks. And there's been a couple of reasons. It actually timed up really well with Gnome Brewery. And Gnome Brewery in full swing allowed me to take a step back that I felt was necessary for me to kind of clear my head and restructure myself with a whole bunch of stuff. It just real life stuff timed up with some online stuff that was going on. I just needed to take a step back. And one of the main reasons was it happened right around the massive Blizzard layoff. And to all those listening here, you know that I heavily encourage a positive community. I am almost repetitive and obnoxious about the level of which I encourage positivity and how we treat other human beings, especially developers, content creators, fans of this or that. There's no reason to be stupid and hateful. And the last couple months have just been a constant preach fest. I know many people have stopped listening or have now rolled their eyes whenever we talk because those Lost Codex bros are all about positivity and all that stuff. And I figured if people are going to stop listening or mute the stream or turn off the stream because of that, so be it, right? But with the recent layoffs, I couldn't find anything to talk about. I didn't want to talk about the recent layoffs because I know many people, many friends of mine that I met at prior BlizzCons, unfortunately did not survive the massive cut at Blizzard. And I know many people wanted me to talk about it, and I just, at the time, I didn't. And this isn't what this podcast is about. I'm not going to offer my thoughts as another content creator who puts his nose in things they don't understand, because I don't understand the business behind it. No matter what you can say, it's a rightful business decision. Shut up. There are people who lost their jobs and lost their stability. You know, obviously there's a business perspective behind it, but there's also an emotional perspective behind it. And the only thing we can do is sympathize with the emotional perspective about it, because we don't know the business dealings and the business reasons for all of that stuff. Unfortunately, no matter how in-depth you are, unless you physically work high up in there, we all don't know the details. And, you know, people could say, well, I work in game development. That's fine. But again, we don't know the details. So I'm going to keep my nose out of that, aside from show support, show positivity where you can. Several of these people who were let go I've started up on different paths, different companies. Many of them are just, solo artists and stuff like that. And so if you see them out and about, you see anyone who's did get hit by the cuts, just go offer them a word of support, a couple of messages or whatever you can on social media or whatever. So that actually hit me pretty hard. And of course, you're going to say, well, Jesse, why were you hit pretty hard? It didn't affect you. Yeah, it didn't affect me in any way. But it hit the community pretty hard, because it seems Blizzard's been on this little bit of a shaky ground recently, and then Activision Blizzard does this. I didn't want to comment. I didn't have anything to comment. I had to take a step back. So that's part of the reason what started all of this. The general negativity of the community has been taxing on me. Very, very emotionally taxing, mentally taxing on me. Because people are just incessant with their volatile spewing of whatever. They have to have a comment for everything, and it's getting old to comment on it all the time. It's getting old to continuously be that positive force. Good friend of mine, Taryn Gregory, posted the other day on Twitter. I'm gonna find the post here. Taryn's often retweeting and talking about positivity and all that, and I'm just gonna find the post here. Give me 1 second. I wasn't prepared. Taryn says, the tsunami of rage phenomenons we see lately are only possible because a sizable number of individuals have made seeking, finding, and displaying rage a full-time collective hobby. It's dehumanizing to both the aggressor and the recipient. Time is precious. Use it mindfully. To which he later responds, to me it's the difference between peaceful protest, angry people, and riots, violent angry people. I believe as social media platforms do, the coordinated harassment campaigns are a form of violence. Their intent is to do harm, and that is exclusively what has been going on in the last few months. And we all know how often that comes up, especially in my streams and in my podcasts. And so it's up to us, the members of this community, to continue to just be a good person. We can be better. We can do better. There's no reason we need to recede into this level of toxic dehumanization for no reason. And that's just going to be my collective message that I encourage for you guys to think about. And so all of that combined with the Blizzard layoffs, combined with just the last couple of months, and it really hit me, and I had to take a step back. And with Gnome Brewery in full swing, it was a great time to do it. Jeff was streaming every day for February, including today, March 1st. And Gnome Brewery was awesome, and I figured, you know what, if there's ever going to be a time to step back while we work on the Seth Rillis video, which is out, by the way, go check it out. It was going to be 2 weeks ago, so I took a step back a couple weeks ago, which is why there hasn't been much activity from me, myself, Jesse, in the last few weeks. No Decoded, nothing like that. Just I was kind of working on the Seth Rillis video, but also kind of trying to mentally recharge. That and had a friend from out of town visiting Canada, so was playing the gracious Canadian host that I have multiple times. Jeff, Steve, other people have come up, so just busyness all around, and I took a step back and I just wanted to explain to you why I was doing that, and not just being a silent entity for no reason. For those of you who have been participating in the streams or Gnome Brewery streams with Jeff, thank you so much. Gnome Brewery had an amazing turnout, and it was a well-orchestrated event by Jeff. And you know what? This all started when I was talking about my RPG characters, and Jeff got the idea for, what if he made his own Gnome RPG character? And then he thought, well, what if we turn this into a whole month of prompts? And what if we turn this into an art prompt? And I think it was my idea that I said, well, let's sponsor it using the Lost Codex, and I didn't expect it to take off as well as it did. So many people were doing written prompts, screenshots in game, their own artistic prompts. It was really great to see, and I think it really shines a proper due credit for one of the most underrated races in game. And I'm happy to see how well it turned out, especially with all the stuff going on with Mechatork and Battle for Dazara Lore and Mechagon coming up. I think it was an amazing turnout for anyone who plays gnomes or enjoys gnomes as a race. So if you did participate in Gnome Brewery, thank you. Jeff also thanks you. Jeff just ended his final stream for Gnome Brewery about maybe an hour and a half ago. And hashtag Gnome Love is a good hashtag for this whole month. So I'm glad that people love Gnome Brewery so much, and it allowed me to take a step back and Jeff to take full reins of what's going on. The Sethraless video took up a majority of the time through February, the first couple weeks. And so Jeff was kind of balancing his time between doing his gnome prompts, but also doing snake stuff as well for Sethraless. And I thought I'd offer some behind-the-scenes thoughts on the Sethraless video and stuff like that. So if you guys haven't seen it yet, pause the podcast right now, go watch it. It's our latest lore video, and yeah, it's actually something a little bit different. I once again throw on a Zandlari impression. Seems most people like the voice. A couple people have not liked the voice. Got couple funny comments there. But that's okay. If you do like the voice, let me know. If you don't like the voice, also let me know. But why Sethraless? Of all the Loa to do, why not Rizan or Gonk or Paku? And I felt like Sethraless's story in-game was unfortunately one of those story arcs, or actually all of Vol'dun was a victim of this, where it was changed pretty late in the beta or alpha, kind of like Gorgrond. Now, of course, it's not a horrible mess like Gorgrond and Warlords, but I feel that Vol'dun did have a lot of empty roads at the end of the story, and it didn't get the full credit that it was due. And so in Vol'dun, we learn of the Snake Loa and how she fights Mithrax, and initially the entire temple of Atulaman was supposed to have been destroyed, ripped open. There's actually a model in one of the models, not in the model viewer, but a different model viewer that shows like buildings and stuff, and you can find a destroyed pyramid. The exact same pyramid that you find in Vol'dun and Nazmir, but it's like blown open. But it has no texture, and I think at some point they abandoned the blown open temple and went with the rundown one. But at several times in the zone they mentioned that the temple is exploded and that Mithrax destroys it, but then at other times Mithrax only destroys the seal. Again, a bunch of mix-up and confusion. And I think the video, the story is a really solid story. You know, we learned at BlizzCon that the reason why the jungles of Vol'dun vanished was because of the Akir, and then we find out later it's because of Sethraless dying. And I felt like all this little bits and pieces of information from BlizzCon and interviews, and then what we have in game really had a concrete, awesome story that I wanted to present in my own way, and where the ultimate inspiration came from was BlizzCon and talking to Alex Afrasiabi, and I asked him about Sethraless and Mithrax.
That's when Sethraless stepped in. This huge battle ensued. As I always described it, I wanted this King Kong-like battle where this beautiful, amazingly powerful Snake Loa kind of entwined itself around this massive old god minion.
Right.
And this huge battle ensued in which the old god took some chunks out of Sethraless, the minion rather.
Right.
But Sethraless kind of dug her fangs right into the side of Mithrax, and then basically it fell, and then it kind of went back to its lair where this is where it was worshipped, and from there it died, and around that the city, the temple city now kind of formed around it.
Right. Okay.
Right?
And I really, really wanted to show how powerful she was. So I said, okay, let's do the Sethraless video. And the big question came, how could we do the Sethraless video when we don't have a model for Sethraless? And now you might say, Jesse, she has a model in the dungeon. But that's her new model. She once had a different model. She was once just a snake, but that snake model doesn't exist. And so you might be familiar with the artist Hypnos world. Hypnos reached out to him, and I were talking, and he was saying how he misses making Warcraft images. And I said, well, we're starting a project. Do you want in? And he goes, okay, well, tell me what it's about. And I said, oh, it's about Sethraless, and here's the Alex Afrasiabi clip. And he went, oh, fuck, that's cool. That's really cool. I'd have to make a Sethraless model, but that's really cool. And I was like, it is really cool. 2 days later, bam, custom model of Sethraless. The whole King Kong image, all done. We inspired him to do it, or we led to the inspiration to do that, and that kind of gave us the fuel we needed. We were like really excited about doing this, but when we saw him doing a custom model of Sethralus, we were like, oh man, we have to get on board 100%. So we kind of helped each other out. We pushed the idea towards him, and he locked us in with it. And Hypnos is awesome because you should go check out his links in the description below if you're listening on YouTube or SoundCloud or iTunes. Go to DeviantArt, look up Hypnos World, and you'll see he does all these custom images with his own custom models. He shows scenes in Warcraft lore that have never been shown before, and he used Sethralus's Loa model and then the new snake models, and he combined it to make an ancient Sethralus model from a long time ago. Looks really dope, what she looked like when she was just a snake, not exactly a Sethrak. And what was really cool is not only does he make his images, but he makes the model